Okay, that took about 10 seconds. I'm already back.
Is the human condition.
Yikes, hang on.
There's
Yeah, about 9.5 minutes in, Corey says he believes that there is more meaning and love in the world than something else. I was reminded of what Alan Watts said one time in terms of like yin and yang and there being a balance. Watts said something to the effect that all it takes is a little bit of spice in order to make a meal. Something to that effect, that there doesn't have to be a balance of good and evil in order to make the world spin around. That Taoism, in a sense, might fail. Of course, the Tao Te Ching begins with ways are ways, but this is our way, or ways are ways that are not always ways. The way that's put into words isn't the way. And so I love Taoism because of that. It's able to speak at so many different levels at once. It talks without talking. In a news group post, I think it was yesterday, we were conversing about accomplishments and what does somebody hope to accomplish on the news group. So I said, I hope to accomplish nothing. And nothing is my goal, and that's what I'm always seeking to get back to, is the emptiness and the non-being, the undifferentiated unity out of which arises all differentiations. Non-being gives rise to being. Wu, the Wu in my Wu Dao could mean without Tao, or it could mean undifferentiated Tao. And so that's a little bit of my views. Okay, another thought comes to mind that, Corey's almost 10 minutes into his talk, that there can't be joy without suffering. That is sort of a theme that runs through the way the universe is put together, assuming it's put together. To say it's constructed or it emerged, as beings, we experience all of these contrasts. That how could there be beauty without ugly? How could there be joy without sorrow? I see in my heart how when someone dies, for instance, a lot of times I am released. I am so happy that what normally people feel as sorrow, I experience as joy. That my heart flips over to the other side, and it's pretty bizarre. It's generally not sociably acceptable to go around at funerals laughing, although it's supposed to be a celebration of life, and there are oftentimes at funerals laughing and weeping. And so life can be strange. To try to put it in a box, might need a lot of boxes to put a lot of views into, and then put all the boxes into a big container and set it on a ship and set it sail to see what can be seen. To see the waves of an ocean, as the notions of consciousness expand and collapse and pass through themselves and each other as the universe others itself. It gets pretty trippy. Ego can be a trip. To trip over one's own ego, one might fall flat on one's face. Pride can lead to something like that. But let me get back to what Corey's talking about. Okay, Corey talks 10 minutes in how suffering can be a subset of love. And I think that's exactly how some people, when they see that the universe, they have a sort of mystical experience, they see everything as love and everything is good. And evil is sort of a derivative of this, that evil is really good, just gone a little bit haywire, something to that effect. Which is, some people would take issue with that. Just like with God, people say, well, if God is all good, I think Corey might have said that in a video. If God is, I think it was Neil deGrasse Tyson. He said, if God is all good, and all this sort of stuff, then blah, blah, blah. And I'm going, well, yeah, from that perspective, it's not going to make sense. But from the perspective of pantheism or panentheism, it might make sense. So to be stuck in any one view can be a problem if one is stuck. And that's where Buddhism can come into play. If somebody has a hang-up, a klesha, a burr in their gears, then the gears aren't going to mesh right. There's going to be a lot of grinding going on. A smooth transmission one needs to maybe clutch, double clutch, release the clutch, and then get on with it. Watts talks sometimes about swimming, that you can't grasp the water or you'll drown. Just swim, just float. To look for meaning or see no meaning, to me that's they arise and they subside together, mutually interdependent. Yeah. Corey's talking about his dog, and without words, it reminded me. I just had a thought a bit ago. I get a lot of thoughts in the shower, and it was about those that know don't say. And what a fun sentence. Those that know silence don't speak of it. Those that are in a place of wordless knowing are not going to use words to describe it while they're in it. That sort of a thing. Those that know a form of oneness beyond two-ness, beyond not two-ness, and are in that state of not two-ness, are not going to say anything about it. They won't be able to say anything about it because they're not in a state of two-ness and even recording their own voice or talking to some other, because there are no others, and so there's nothing to say. I'd like to say I know about that. And I can say that when I read Isaiah sometimes. He goes, "Who has believed our report?" And when I read it and I think about everything that I know about Christianity and the beast and inscription, lost tribes and all these legends and theories, I go, I can believe the report. Sure, yeah, the Isles were silent and then they took over the world. What more evidence does there need to be? But then a God for the age, and is this a different age? If I shift my view and say, well, yeah, that was the previous age. Now we're in a modern age where things appear differently. I liked how Corey talked about the Earth as appearing as a sphere with the North Pole pointing up. I like to see how, no, the Earth really is a pale blue dot. Or, no, the Earth is really not anything that we can conceive of, because all of our conceptions delineate and delimit something called Earth that has been reified to begin the thought with. So 11 minutes in and Corey's still talking about his dog. I'm still rambling on. It occurred to me how energy is joyous and blissful and explodes. The Hindu Sat Chit Ananda, being consciousness bliss, as the root of what the cosmos is, what the self is doing fundamentally. Playing with the dog, just universe at play, energy dancing. That's a good explanation, a good metaphor. Almost 13 minutes in, Corey's talking about pain and suffering. And I can differentiate between the two, and Corey seems to be combining them here. Of course, he's not getting into how they might be different. So, same and different. Yeah, I like to see all things as the same. I like to see all things as different. Maybe comes out of Chuang Tzu. One reason I'm a Taoist, or I call myself a Taoist, is because of the Chuang Tzu. That I resonate with that so much that it leaves me speechless. Corey, I think, loves life, and he reminds me of my father in that sense, that a lot of people love life. My mom was a bit more cynical, and I think I got a little bit of both, that I like to celebrate life every morning. And when I don't have that kind of a high, after a short while, I wonder, where did it go? And I'll start doing everything I can to get it back. I'll pray, and usually after I pray, because that might involve an ego loss, then the joy comes back. But a lot of times, I feel as though I can live without life. It's sort of a contradiction in terms, like, I don't need this, that I would just as soon not be here. But I feel as though I have a responsibility. I'm married, and my sisters are still around, and my friends are around. I wouldn't want to inflict harm on anybody by me checking out. I wouldn't even commit suicide because I'm probably too much of a chicken, that it's not that big a deal. But a lot of times, I'm not all that happy. So I cycle around quite a bit. And now I've talked so much I have to stop this talk too.